Keys to success number 121. We are going to once again talk about the all-important topic and all-consuming topic of diet. And I'm Dr. Martin Rutherford, certified functional medicine practitioner and chiropractor.
Dr. Randall Gates, board certified chiropractic neurologist, also a chiropractor.
And you know, just yesterday, I had no less than 3 consults in which people were drastically struggling with diet. And one of the ladies, sweet lady, is working with 3 different practitioners with 3 different takes on diet. And then she wasn't working, it wasn't working as well as she'd like. So she was online and she was also investigating nuances of the diet on her own. I'm not making this up. And so, and I understand that. We understand that. And so diet is a big part of getting better. It's out there on the internet. It's the easiest part to write a book about. It's the easiest part to talk about. Everybody eats, you know, and so there's so many different diets out there, and every new one is the new one. But diet is there's not one diet for everyone. And so Dr. Gates, you say like 6 diets. I mean, I think we use like 8 diets or something like that.
Somewhere between 6 and 8 when I add them up.
Or 9 or what. But the point being,
there's a lot.
There's a lot of different diets. In the beginning, when you come in, I indicate that usually after at least the blood testing, that you may be switched from our essentially anti-inflammatory, anti-autoimmune baseline allergy elimination diet, which is essentially what it is, to one of these other diets. So why don't you kind of take it from there?
Yeah, because in doing this work, you realize there's no one right diet for anybody. And so
everybody comes in on, not everybody, but a lot of people, including the lady yesterday, come in on either the autoimmune paleo diet today or some variation of it.
4 years ago, it was gluten-free. So then we were talking about gluten-free.
3 years before that was, how could diet change anything?
And so we've seen the progression, so to speak. But yeah, you see somebody on the autoimmune paleo diet and they have Crohn's disease, or they have a functional bowel disorder, or they have rheumatoid arthritis, and you can just see how that diet is ruining them. Literally, it can actually make people worse. And so you have to know the nuances of each different condition. Just as an illumination, Crohn's disease patients do horrible with starches. So sweet potatoes aren't great for Crohn's disease patients. Whereas for rheumatoid arthritis patient, it's more meat-based proteins. And we've talked about that in other broadcasts. If you have SIBO, if you have irritable bowel syndrome, well, then we really have to delve into the vegetables and the fruits, because some are good, some are really bad. But it's individual specific. I have some IBS patients who can eat broccoli. I have some IBS patients that eat broccoli and they have diarrhea 10 times. So that kind of illuminates a lot of what's going on. We have some patients that come in that are vegetarians. When we started doing this, we wouldn't even take a patient who is a vegetarian because we said, you know, they're the hardest ones to get better. Well, that's kind of true, but we're both vegetarians. We've had to learn how to work around that, and it can be worked around. And so I think Dr. Rutherford and I were talking a few weeks ago about the more information about these diets that's out there online, the more confusion we see. We see more patients doing diets haphazardly, kind of, and we know that we're not saying that in a denigrating fashion, but you know, you just don't have all the information all the time. And so you're being marketed to, somebody's putting content out there just to put content out there. Trust me, I have friends who that's what they do, and they're not experts. And so you're reading all these things as though it's the God's truth. And we see a lot of confusion and a lot of bad results from it. So clearly there's a way to do everything, and there's an order to do everything. Just because you got a wrench doesn't mean you can go fix your specialty car. So that's my take on it. Yeah,
and so just for those of you who are patients, and that these are generally primarily directed at our patients, although they go out to just about everybody, I think. But in the beginning, it's, you know, we start with an allergy elimination diet, and it's not the autoimmune paleo diet exactly, unless people say, because there's like 6 or 7 things on there that affect our patients substantially. Then after we get your blood panels back, there might be a dietary change at that point in time, and there might not be, based on your symptoms and your response to that. There might be another dietary change at some point in time, and or you might be losing weight and you might hit a wall, and there might be one or two dietary changes at that time. Different diets are better for different things. So it's hard in the beginning to just explain that to everybody. As you who are going through the program or been through the program, remember, we go over quite a bit of material that day, that we review your findings and that we go over what the program would look like. And I have to hit the diet very generally, not because I'm being evasive and I don't want to give you the secret, as I've been accused of a couple of times. It's like, no, it's like the secret is we have to find out what the secret is for you. And it's a ketogenic diet could be valuable at some point, which is now seems to be the new thing out there. It seems like everybody now is coming in on the ketogenic diet. That diet's not good for a lot of people, and that diet's good for certain people, and so on and so forth. So that's kind of the key. The key is if you have any dietary questions about your diets, just know that they're being put together with very specific as can be for a human being, but you have an environment in your gut that's maybe different from the next person, with the type of bacteria you have in there, and some of that comes from the trial and error of the reintroduction of foods. You have to calm down your brain to get the stress hormones down, so that's not altering gut function, and now you can get more accurate results on that. So it's a sophisticated thing to figure out what your dietary needs are, and that's the tedious part of the program itself. But I think there's not too many diets out there that are not taken into consideration relative to that person's specific needs. We haven't done the elemental diet yet.
True.
But that's kind of a little bit of a joke. I mean, that's kind of like intravenous or eating.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So that was kind of, but still, I've had people come in who've done it, and it didn't work, and so on and so forth. So anyway, so that's kind of the general ballpark of diets. It's complex. It's confusing. You read two diets, one says eat broccoli and the other one says don't eat broccoli. Thank goodness I haven't heard about the goitrogenic diet now in a couple of years, which is
people are still bringing it up.
Are they still bringing it up? Which is like for thyroids, and it's totally ridiculous, but it's still out there on the internet. And then broccoli reminded me of that, because broccoli was one of the things.
Don't take ashwagandha because it's a nightshade.
Don't take ashwagandha because the nightshades, the salicylates, it goes on and on and on and on and on. So Doug Gates is familiar with all that. We're conversant with that. If you can trust us, just come to us with your questions, so that we can direct you according to what your exam findings were, what your history indicates, what your response to certain supplements indicate, what your testing indicates. I mean, it really is a sophisticated science, way more so than it's presented online. So
yeah.
So that's the key to success for today.
121.
121. Keys to success number 121.
We'll see you later.